Good evening and welcome to the Municipality of South Dundas Council meeting for Wednesday, October 29th, 2025. Thanks for joining. Thanks to the council team and staff for being here. We're going to kick things off by calling the meeting to order. I have a resolution. Let it resolve that the October 29th, 2025 council meeting of the Municipality of South Dundas now be opened at 5:59 p.m. Moved by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Moving to item 3, confirmation of agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or amendments to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, I have a resolution. Let it be resolved that the Council of Municipality of South Dundas approve the agenda as presented. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Councillor Vino?
Yeah, through you, Mayor, I'd like to disclose on item 11F, as my family has funds in that discussion.
I will also disclose on 11F, key information report, Morrisburg BIA. Any other disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, adoption of minutes. Any errors or admissions to the regular council meeting of October 1st? Seeing none, I have a motion to resolve that the minutes of the following meeting be adopted as presented. The October 1st, 2025 regular council meeting. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Delegations. So tonight, part of our ongoing youth recognition night, and we are recognizing volunteerism here in South Dundas. And I'll pass things over to Clerk LeBrun.
Thank you, Mayor Broad, and through you, I'd like to invite Lily O'Connor and Yvonne Delagard to come up to the delegation table. Tonight we're recognizing the Iroquois Matilda Lions Club student program. So as I mentioned, we have Lily O'Connor here, joined by Yvonne Delagard, who is a member of the Lions Club as well. So each year, the club invites grade 11 and 12 students to join the club as student lions. The program emphasizes that family comes first, school comes second, and lions come third. Student lions attend bi-monthly meetings. They participate in discussions and voting, volunteer at various events, and attend a leadership camp. With guidance from their sponsors, these young individuals learn to interact with confidence and embrace responsibility, and they experience the joy of community service. As part of the program, the Student Lions organize their own events during the year. During the 2024 and 2025 year, 4 Student Lions, Eli Disho, Lily O'Connor, McKenna Thomas, and Sierra Latulippe, successfully organized Earth Day, a roadside cleanup for Seaway District High School in the Iroquois area. They selected dates, promoted the event, ordered supplies, and coordinated with local authorities, and reported on their activities at the next Lions meeting. So notably, Lily O'Connor is was so inspired by her experience that she has since become a regular Lion with the club. So this program demonstrates a strong commitment to developing tomorrow's community leaders. So we'd like to welcome Lily and Yvonne here and thank them for the great work that they do in our community.
Yes, thank you very much, Lily, and thank you for joining the organization as a student and continuing your passion with the club and for South Dundas. We thank you for that and all the hard work you do. I appreciate it, and you and your friends and the cohorts that are involved as Young Lions members, we really appreciate that and congratulate you for taking that on as part of your curriculum of activities I'm sure you're very busy doing. Other comments?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. Yeah, I just want to say thank you and congratulations as well. I think this also congratulate the adults and the Lions Club for recognizing our youth programs and the value that our youth bring. No surprise to Yvonne. That's been a big part of our community for many years, and she recognized that. She recognized that when she was the mayor and on council, and she continues to recognize that. But thank you for stepping up and helping our community. I think it's fabulous, and it just shows again, as we continue doing this, how great our youth are in our community. So thank you.
Lily, any stories you'd like to share with your time on the Lions Club? Just hit the red button there. There you go.
I don't know. I mean, I've been with them for 3 years, I guess, now. It's been very educating. It's really cool to see the meetings, and like coming to this makes me want to like do more. So
Awesome. Well, we congratulate you and we thank you. And I know we have certificates for the other Leos too that are involved, but we'd love for you to come up and Yvonne, and we'll get a picture with the council team. And we just want to thank you. Yeah, Yvonne, please add on. Yeah, of course.
Come
Absolutely.
on,
Yeah.
you gotta give me the
Yeah.
mic.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Here, you want the gavel?
No, I just want to, most of you probably don't know, but this program has been going on with the Iroquois Matilda Lions Club over 40 years now. And so they've put a lot of students through that we've mentored, and I am their sponsor this year. And each year, one of us sponsors and takes care of them and throughout the meetings and shows them the ropes and that kind of thing. So we really take it on as a personal gratification that we're able to bring these youth into meeting and becoming familiar and with adults, because they don't usually have that interaction. So it really works well at the meetings. And so we had 4 wonderful young ladies last year that just did a super job, and they're all off to the schools. And Lily is still in this area, so she's continuing on with us, which is, wonderful for us to have somebody young in our club again. So, yeah.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, Councillor Wood.
Thanks, Mayor. So to that information, I was wondering if perhaps you could share how that program works and how a student or a young person would register for the program. Maybe you could share that with the clerk, and we could advertise that on our social media. And I think it'd be also great through the clerk if maybe we could connect and you could come to the youth committee meetings and also talk about the opportunity with the Lions Club, because I think it would be good information for the students on that as well.
Okay, when this program first started, a lot of it were they were Lions' sons and daughters. That's how it began. Then it was grandsons and granddaughters, and eventually that, time, now with the 80-year-olds in our club, that there's no more sons and granddaughters. So we've reached out to the high school, and we work closely with the I forget what they call
Guidance counselor?
Guidance counselor, yes, exactly. And we ask, them for names to submit. And we do know usually ones from this year, and we ask them, who is suitable in grade 11 that may be interested in next year. So, it's kind of just word of mouth at this point of time. And, anybody in the club, if we know somebody or a neighbor or a friend that has somebody in that grade 11 or 12, we typically take grade 12s, but we will do grade 11s if we can't find enough in grade 12. And we've taken up to 4 students a year. Usually it was around 2, but if there's interest, we will expand that. So, yeah. So I think but I'd be glad to reach out to the youth group, and maybe we can find out, get some more, because this year we only have 1 student that's come forward, Aiden Adams, and he's the only one that's come forward this year. And he's trying to get his friends to come in, but, there's a little bit of a commitment, but, we certainly stress the family and the school first. That's yes. Without saying. Awesome. So, but I'll be glad to work more with that and to work with you, Crystal. So.
Very good. Cool. All right. Get a picture with the team. Come on, team. Right? Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And I know you'd love to stay, but you don't have to.
I can't go call bingo. I have to go call bingo.
That's a quarter.
Okay, take care. Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to action request 7A, TS 2025-11, street lights on Stampville Road. Director Hyman.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in front of you, you'll see the report, a little bit of background information concerning the lights, where we're at, and where we potentially want to go. So a little background. So prior to amalgamation, the council of the former Matilda Township assumed all the street lights on Stampville Road. Even though they were located on private property, really they're a yard light. As a result of amalgamation, the municipality of South Dundas assumed responsibility for all of these throughout Princeton, Dixon's Corners, Haynesville, and Stampville on both municipal and county roads. So currently, some of the municipal lights located on private property on Stampville Road are no longer working. One has been disconnected due to a house fire, and some lights are just burnt out. They're the old Sentinel, like a true light bulb. They're not the new LED style lights, and residents have been inquiring about getting them repaired. So given the long-standing arrangement as it relates to street lighting on Stampville Road, staff are now seeking council's direction on how they wish to proceed with this specific street lighting arrangement that was established pre-amalgamation. So we brought forward 3 options. One being to keep the street lights under municipal ownership and invest a little bit of money to get them up to standard. 2, dispose of the street lights by removing the arms / lights, not the pole, because the pole is holding up the hydro line, which feeds power to their house. And direct staff to send out a letter to property owners to see how they wish to retain and maintain the street lights under private ownership, and work with the landowners and Hydro One to transfer ownership / billing responsibilities. So to add a little bit more to option 3, I've been in contact with Hydro. I'm just awaiting a response from them. And there's a little bit of a hiccup here with that last option, because Hydro no longer does yard lights. They will honor it through the grandfathered system, that if you already own one or have owned one, that they'll repair them. So this would be really considered a new street light, which does not qualify. So there's options. I'm still working with Hydro to get the definite answer on which route we're going to go. There's options that you can leave the pole, disconnect the power, leave the pole, and put a solar head on it. And then problem solved in that aspect of it. So again, I just wanted to offer a little clarity that once I get that answer, I will return back for option 3. So the budget implications, so the cost of an armed street light would be around $3,000 based on staff's review of the current lights. 5 street lights heads and 1 potential arm would be required. And then any other hydro costs to do the disconnects of the power, that would be over and above. So I can answer any questions which you may have at this time.
Thanks, Director Hyman. Questions, comments? Councilor Vino?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Broad. So this came up. This was a question came to me from somebody who lives on Stampville, so that's kind of started all this. And they were mainly just trying to figure out who owned them, because it was kind of a bit of a runaround at the time. My opinion is these are on private property and they're basically a yard light, right? So they don't serve a purpose to the general public and the tax base. So I think my opinion is we need to go down, and I think option 3 does that, a road to kind of absolve ourselves of the liability and our interest in these lights, poles, whatever it is, and transfer that over to the homeowner at this time, just to close the book on this one, because I know it's, from the history that I've gathered, it's kind of been drug on for quite some time. So I think it's just time to move it over.
Yeah, certainly. Just looking at the pictures again, they are yard lights and not illuminating the street specifically. So appreciate your comments. Other comments? Councilor Ward? Oh, sorry, Tom. Sure.
Sorry.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. So through you, Mayor, I would agree with Councilor Vino. I just had one question. Does the hydro line for these come off the house, or does it come off the road to the pole? Because it looks like in one of the pictures it's actually fed from the house.
So through you, Mayor Broad, to Councillor, it comes from the south side of the road.
Okay.
Crosses over to the north side to the pole where the light is attached to, and then from the pole it goes to the house. So that's really the support pole for, because the strand would be too long. So it essentially goes from the south side to the north side into the house.
Yeah, so then I think I reiterate, like, option 3 is probably what I'd like to see.
Councilor Smith?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with everybody else here. If you do like a quick Google search of like all the other villages like Brinston, Dixon's Corners, the streetlights that are there are clearly on the edge of the road surface, like over top of the sidewalk, whatever. These ones are clearly on private property. So it would be a different discussion if the main power line is on, like the manager Hyman said, on the south side of the road. If they were on that side of the road, then they would clearly be ours, but they're not. They're clearly on private property. So.
Okay, I think kind of option 3, but obviously maybe some questions to come back because maybe there could be a different alternative within option 3 based on Hydro's answer. So why don't we leave it that, explore more information with Hydro 1, thinking that the staff would like to go with option 3 on that one. Okay, so we'll have a motion to that. Let it be resolved that the Council of Municipality of South Dundas directs staff to proceed with option 3. Send a letter, we verify with Hydro 1, inquire about the retention and streetlights and arrangements for hydro connections, and that the staff will report back to council. Okay, moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Okay, 7B, CAO 2025-11 Municipal Dog Tag Program Elimination. CEO DeHaan.
Thank you, Council and Mayor. Just very, I guess, quickly to formalize direction we got through our discussion report from our last meeting. Staff felt best just to make sure we have a clean resolution that confirms that direction, so that we can, move forward with the it's just removing all references to the dog tag program effective January 1st, 2026.
Questions, comments for CEO DeHaan? Okay, I have a motion, let it resolve that the Council of Municipality of South Dundas confirms the termination of the municipal dog tag program effective January 1st, 2026. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. 7C, CAO 2025-12, update to hiring of relatives policy 3.5, CEO DeHaan.
Thank you. As council may be aware, we're in the midst of recruitment for new fire staff, recruit fire staff for 2026. Training starts early, training starts early 2026. So we're trying to get our recruits onboarded, familiar with the stations, things like that. So one of the questions that, as we're going through the recruitment process, came up was related to the hiring of relatives and how that an existing municipal policy relates to the fire service. To date, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a surprise to any council members who have a long and cherished history with fire service, in particular, that the idea of having relatives within the fire service is something that's, past practice has happened for some time. So what we're attempting to do with some of the proposed changes to the policy reflect a little bit more of what the reality and the practice is, without limiting our ability to recruit firefighters. So what is being proposed for the revised policy, and it's highlighted in red within the report. So just very quickly, when we're talking about hiring of individuals, what we're trying to do is recognize that within the fire service, there is that the hiring of relatives does happen within the fire service, but what we're trying to do is, if you are in a position of, I'm going to call it authority within that fire service, because we have different ranking of individuals from firefighters, lieutenants, captains to actual station chiefs, and then ultimately fire chief. What we're trying to do is create the right type of separation between potential relatives that are in a higher authority versus those that are just firefighters. So how we've laid it out in the policy, which is essentially section 4, is that we're making it clear, fire chief, we don't want to have any relatives within the fire service that could be related to the fire chief. And then again, and this is really from the disciplinary, that's where this is a very important thing. Of course, is disciplinary and coaching, mentoring, supervision. So having a fire chief who is ultimately responsible for those within that fire service, not having any relations. We're also saying the same thing with respect to station chiefs, but it's relative to the station. So if a station chief has a relative that wants to join the service, they're going to have to, there are alternative stations they can go to. So we're suggesting that would be appropriate, but not within the same station if you have a station chief. And then whenever we talk about in-station relations, what we're suggesting is that Where possible and practical, senior officers not directly involved in the in-station supervision or direction of the work of their relatives. So again, I'm not a firefighter, so I can't, I can't speak to the day-to-day training that occurs, but my understanding is that often, depending on how many are present, it's, the groups are separated. When it's in station, the station chief is generally the one that's responsible for the overall supervision of the the staff that are there. But when we're talking about training and whatnot, we do have a separation, and some of the more senior experienced members are the ones that are doing that training. So we want to make sure we provide those types of separations between family members that might be together in station. So that's how the policy is laid out. Certainly, I'm, I think, open to any discussion that council may want to have with respect to that. And there's absolutely, if there's revisions that council wants to see to this or different thoughts, absolutely understand that, it's not like we have to make this decision this evening. The other clarification we've provided in Section 6 is related to having paid-on-call council members, in particular, on the fire service. So the way the policy is written, it could be interpreted that that's not permitted. But when in the Municipal Elections Act, it is actually permitted to have volunteer firefighters within the fire service. We did get a legal opinion as well, just that confirmed very difficult policy to enforce because there is overriding legislation that does allow it. So we wanted to provide that clarification as well in the policy. So with that, I'd certainly turn it over to council for some thoughts. And again, if there's alternative ways that they want to approach this, very happy to do this. I see this as a starting point, and if council's satisfied with it, that's great. And if they want to look at some revisions, that's fine too.
Yeah, thanks, CEO DeHaan. Certainly challenging to have a procedure in place, bylaw in place, ESA standards, human rights standards, et cetera, and then rights of the worker, rights of the requirements of a supervisor. So very challenging to make sure we can capture that's correct. Questions or comments? Kick us off here on the proposed change to policy. Councillor Smith?
Yeah, just on item number 4, I don't know. The fire service is different because like the fire service, they're more like it's like a family. Like they're employees, but they're a family. And so I think that maybe by eliminating the possibility of having people who are related to move up in that organization, it's maybe going to hinder us in the long run. I know the reasons why you don't want to see it, but it would, like, there's how many cases of fathers and sons or fathers and daughters are there? Like, maybe 5 years from now, one of those people could progress higher and higher, maybe getting up to chief level. And I'd hate to see them not being able to do that just because of family relations. So that's my thoughts on the first one.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. Yeah, I'm a little bit conflicted on this one as well. To Councillor Smith's comments, I tend to agree with you. I mean, there's many workplaces out there that have family members that work with each other that are in a supervisory role of staff, which could be a family member. So I'm a little bit torn on this. I mean, I just don't know as well. For the training, I mean, we do a lot of cross training. So how are we going to now segregate a lieutenant or a captain doing cross training with other departments, and now their family member has to be segregated out, that they're not under that supervisory role or under that training role. So I think logistically there might be some challenges there. Sorry, Ben, did you want to?
Yeah, if you don't mind, and we tried to capture that in the wording of C. It's like where possible and practical, like recognizing it's going to be difficult to eliminate it completely. I absolutely agree, but I think where and when we can, we should, and I think from kind of administration, if I may, perspective, like we're trying to balance the best practice. I think Councillor Smith's points very well taken. What this is attempting to do is create a balance, because the way the policy is written right now, you could interpret it like, oh, it can't happen at all. So what we're trying to do is say, like, look, yeah, we recognize it has it has happened in the past. This is just something that has happened in the past. And this is how we're managing this in a way that is trying to segregate out the supervisory aspects of some of this as best we can with those family members, and also creating some boundaries associated with those higher ups that are really involved in some of the more challenging side of human resources.
Yes. So just to continue on, certainly there is a degradation between training and supervision, right? So the focused aspect is on supervision under 4C versus cross-department training or activities. I think it's the direct supervision is the area of concern that we're trying to address, for sure. Deputy Mayor? Felt like you had another question.
Yeah, I did, but I lost my train of thought, so maybe I'll come back. Go ahead.
Councillor Vano?
Through your mayor, I'm also conflicted on this. If I had to make, a quick call right now, I would say the fire chief definitely should not be related. It comes down to disciplinary action, the firefighter's safety, because sometimes if you have somebody in a supervisory role that is playing favorites to their relatives, they may not be acting in the best interest of what is safe and right to that person. The fire chief has ultimate, say over all disciplinary actions and supervisory roles. So there would always be, if you keep the fire chief if you keep it so that you can't have a relative to the fire chief, that I think is your separation between everybody. Because ultimately, somebody in the fire department, if they see something that they don't like, maybe there's favoritism going on, they can go to the fire chief and then the buck stops there. So I kind of think I would be okay with leaving A and then changing B to kind of like the same wording as C, where station chiefs and the lieutenants and captains, whatnot, where practical, will try to keep a bit of a separation there. But because I agree with Councillor Smith, if somebody's a firefighter, they move up to lieutenant, their son or daughter comes in, and all of a sudden now they can't be lieutenant or move up, it kind of takes away your drive to advance in your service there. So that's where I'm at. I think the fire chief definitely shouldn't have any relatives in the service, but I think I would be content with station chiefs and below having relatives under them. That's where I'm at.
CEO Don?
And again, good points, and certainly the direction of council is the direction we'll go with. The other element of it is not necessarily, it's also perception thing too, right? And that's one thing to keep in mind. 99% of the time, things are going to, maybe it's 95% of the time, whatever it is, things are going to be great, no problem. But it's also that perception where, like as an example, a station chief, like if they have a relative that's within their station, is there a perception that there's favoritism or that they're turning a blind eye to practices? Even if that's not the case, that perception and that bias is there, and that's an unfortunate reality of the world we live in. So just be mindful of that too. This is also attempting to provide that clarity so that the perception of bias is also eliminated.
I'd say too, it's also, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
No, it's okay. I'll finish up. I'll remember my thoughts.
I'd also say that, and also think about the supervision at a scene, whether it's a fire, emergency rescue, medical situation, right, where the supervisor is directing a family member, right? So that's the area of concern on the choice the leader, the operational leader at the time would have to make, right? And I think this is trying to minimize and or eliminate that situation at a scene in a high stress, high pressure situation for someone to make a decision based on a family member versus the needs of the situation. Just for thought. Not saying that's factual, but that's just my thought. CEO?
Sorry, and if I may, we did talk, like this was discussed with our senior leadership, our station chiefs in advance of this council meeting, in advance of actually bringing this forward, just to ensure that and there was no objection raised through those discussions, just so council's aware.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor Broad. I'm glad you said that because I think that is very important and that's something what we've been trying to promote for a while now is getting good input from all the firefighters, senior level. So you know what, I'm not going to debate too much more about it because, I fully understand what we're saying here. The other shoe though is if a firefighter's at another station, it may go the other way and there may be some things happening at the other station if the other station doesn't really like the person in command from station one, right? So there's always these different scenarios that you got to consider, and I know you've considered them. I'm kind of with Councillor Vino. If we could change the wording on item B, just to be clear that where and when possible and practical, I think I'm comfortable with that, and I'm really comfortable now that you told me that you've had that meeting with the senior level and that they're okay with it. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other comments, Councilor Ward?
Thanks, Mayor. No,
Councilor,
so
please
I think,
weigh in at least on B as well, like thinking of the wording of B.
yeah,
proposed
so
change.
I'm actually fine with how it's written. I personally think it's a best practice. I understand the perception around the table and I understand like what everyone's saying, but I just think like from an HR perspective and from a municipal perspective and protecting the tax base, if something were to fall out, this would protect us a little bit more than allowing people who are related to work for each other, but also would still allow someone to be on the fire department. If they were related to someone, they would just go to a different house or go to a different, station, whatever. Not an expert on what we call them around here. And I think like the wording is really well written in C. And I understand applying it to B, but B, you still have, I just think I like the way it's written, but obviously it's the decision of council. That's just my perspective on 4. Are we continuing on the policy? I have other thoughts in other places, or?
Yeah, maybe it'd be nice for us to address B and then move on to other points, just so
Okay,
that we don't
yep.
lose track of, kind of, we've been focusing on just on 4 right now. I'm okay with the way it's worded. Councillor Smith?
I still think that we shouldn't eliminate a family member from being a chief. That's still my thoughts. Station chief or chief.
Sorry, through you, but we're really not eliminating that. We're just eliminating that if there's a relative that maybe they have to go to another station. So we're eliminating the.
Within their station, so no, the station chief in Iroquois cannot have any family members
That's what
within
I'm
the
saying.
station of Iroquois.
That's
That's
what
what
I'm
B
saying.
says.
But it doesn't prevent them from not being a part of it. Oh, the fire chief itself. Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the fire chief. I'm fine with that word.
Well, I think I would say let's, since the current officers of the fire department kind of came with this, makes us feel, like Deputy Mayor said, makes us feel confident that's what they're thinking today. Obviously,
Not set in stone. You can change.
right, of course, yeah. No, we could come back 6 months or a year from now if we have a whole bunch of recruits and things are changing in the fire department that, we wanted to readdress it. I guess that would be opportunity at that point.
I guess that's exactly what I was going to say. This is council's policy, so council can kind of amend it as they see fit based on the circumstances in front of them. So I guess what I'm hearing is a general consensus for A. Not clear to me on B whether there's a desire to change. Like, it sounds like there's varying opinions on it, which if I could get a little bit of clarity on that, and then if B, I guess B consolidates with C, or B stands alone and C stands alone.
Councilor Reno?
How about council's opinion if we leave it the way it's written and you go back to the senior leadership and get their opinion on, I know they were happy with it as it's written, but say, if council's open to switching B, do they feel that would be a benefit to their recruitment and to their, structure? And if not, then we leave it as is. But if they say, hey, yeah, that would be great, we got so-and-so that would love to move in advance, then maybe we bring it back then, but kind of put the ball into the seniors' court.
We have a senior officers meeting tomorrow night. So again, we went with the station chiefs when we talked about this policy, just to make sure it was in front of council on time for this meeting. But yeah, we can bring it to that senior officers meeting and have a little bit more of a robust discussion with more people around the table. That's good with me.
Okay. Councillor Ward, you had other comments about the policy?
Yeah, so I have some comments about number 6. And I did get some information from staff, so I appreciate that. One thing that, and I can understand that, you know, it can't be challenged, but I would like a little bit more wording in there about what would happen if there's disciplinary measures, because I think that will become a very difficult situation for the CAO, fire chief, et cetera, to address. If there's something, a counselor is on the fire department and there is issues with that individual, how will that be addressed? And I think it should just be in the policy, so it's not up for discussion. It's just, this is what happens and this is who's regulating, and it's not the opinion of the fellow counselors to decide. So that's kind of how I'd like it to see it written. I don't know what the rest of council feels, but it just protects administration a little bit more as well.
Councillor Smith?
Yeah, so through you, Mayor Brown, I just had a question for the CAO. You said that there was like some overriding legislation over, like, what exactly was that? And is this even our decision, or do, I don't want to say quote unquote, we have to allow it, or is?
Oh, yeah, there we go. So the Municipal Elections Act speaks to like who can be a candidate for a municipal election. So generally speaking, an employee of the municipality cannot be a candidate for a municipal election, but there is a exemption for volunteer firefighters. So volunteer firefighters can be municipal councillors or serve on council. This is a hiring policy, so it's actually, so if
The reverse.
It's the reverse. It's the reverse. So municipalities can't have hiring policies, but this hiring policy somewhat conflicts with what is permissible otherwise. So you can have it, but it's not a very clean policy, because one could come in as a firefighter, but if I was on council and said, I think this is important for me to do, the policy is like, well, sorry, you can't, but you could have. But so it's, because it conflicts, the legal opinion we got was it's clean just to comply with, or just to make sure that it's consistent with legislation in terms of the permissibility of it. To Councillor Ward's point, I think adding in some element of like, how do we actually go through a disciplinary process associated with a council member that may be serving on, like council member, board member as well. I mean, we're kind of focusing on council, but it also includes committees of council and whatnot too. How do we go through that disciplinary process? I think that's great, because that's an excellent idea, because it does kind of clearly spell it out for administration how we move forward with something like that, and kind of, I mean, that's kind of the ugly part of this whole thing, to be perfectly honest. So if we kind of do it in a very clean way through this policy, I think that's a fantastic approach.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. And I just want to expand that discussion a little bit, and it's more of questions and clarity. So I'm just thinking ahead a little bit, and it does relate to the policy. So if there is a firefighter that is now, and we will say council, at what point do they have to declare pecuniary interest on, you know, items like wages, budgets, fleet, all of that stuff? Has that been kind of, and the only reason I'm asking that, CAO Dahan, is because if they got declare on a lot of stuff that the council needs to approve to keep the business moving forward, then maybe the simplest thing is just not allow them to be on the council, and we just create that policy. But I just would like to understand what authority they have, what voting power that they have, when do they have to declare? Because I think in my mind that may weigh into the number 6 as well.
Yeah, so we did ask that question actually to, we had a legal seminar today, so this was a good topic we could bring up to get some free advice. Yeah, it was perfect. Yeah. And so the question about like declaring pecuniary interest was raised, and the answer was it's actually not as cut and dry as normal declarations are. That a council member can actually participate in a lot more of that discussion than you would think otherwise. And the recommendation was it's a case by case. It's a case-by-case call to the integrity commissioner every time based on what's in front of council to determine if it's appropriate to declare or not, or, if you have to or not. And that's something that council, it's available to all council, and that's every council across Ontario. So, so it's not an easy answer. So I can't answer that one. But I guess I do want to reiterate, it's something that we, like the provincial legislation kind of sits over top of any policy. Like we can't write a policy. We have to make sure our policies are consistent with like ESA as an example. We can't override ESA. So similarly, we can't disqualify someone running for council if they're a volunteer firefighter.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Very good. I think at this point, that sounds like we have a little more work to do. We probably should defer the motion to accept this and come back with that. So do I need a mover and seconder to defer, clerk? So I'll, yeah, Councillor Smith, yeah.
I just want to clarify one more point. So is the way that it is, our policy is written right now, that if you were first a council member, you could become a paid-on-call firefighter, but if you were a paid-on-call firefighter, you could not run for council. Is that the way it is right now, or did I hear that wrong?
You got it reversed.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you were a paid-on-call firefighter, you could run for council. But if you're on council right now, this policy, the way it's written, prohibits it, but you could challenge it because you are otherwise allowed to be, like this policy may not reflect the current legislative regime of what you can and can't do.
Okay.
So it depends on who your lawyer is probably what it comes down to, quite frankly.
Okay.
Okay, so
Could go on forever on the wording of this stuff. I mean, it's not cut and dry like you said.
okay, can I have a motion to defer the approval of revised policy 3.5, hiring of relatives? Councillor Ward, moved, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. So that motion is deferred. Deferred. Okay, 7D, CS 2025-21 award RFP STG 2501 voting system for 2026 elections. Clerk LeBrun, 1 year from tonight, we'll know who the next council is.
Thank you, Mayor Broad, and through you. Yes, it'll be an exciting year. So the report before council this evening is to award the RFP for our 2026 municipal elections. And to award the contract to Votaz Canada for providing internet voting capabilities and paper ballot tabulators for the elections. This follows council's direction from September to use electronic voting combined with paper ballots. This was a joint RFP that was issued by all the lower tiers of SDG, and we also included the City of Cornwall this year. And this approach is meant to strengthen the coordinated efforts of our elections, and we can depend on each other and lean on each other and use the same system. The RFP was vetted by all the municipal clerks, including the procurement department at the City of Cornwall and our SDG IT director. So we received 3 qualified submissions. Both were, all 3 were evaluated on both technical merit and pricing, and Votaz scored the highest on both, and they were the clear winner on all fronts. So the estimated cost is based on the 2022 eligible electors numbers. So this list is being worked on as we speak, and the final list of eligible voters won't be prepared till next August. Won't be prepared until next August. So the estimate for this contract is $26,445.84. And the final cost will depend on the voters list in 2026, but this contract is paid in intervals. Every year we put $13,000 into the elections reserve, so we currently have a balance of approximately $64,000, which easily accommodates this contract. So our recommendation is to approve the tender award to Votaz Canada. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions, comments? No. Thank you for collaborating and getting this set up, Clerk LeBrun. I have a motion, let it resolve that the Council of Municipality of South Dundas award RFP SDG 2025-01 for the supply of internet voting systems and paper ballot tabulators and related services for the 2026 municipal election be awarded to Volts Canada Limited, and furthermore, the clerk and the director of corporate services be authorized to sign all applicable documents. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. 7E, 2025-22, Dundas Archives, continuation of operation. Clerk LeBrun.
Thank you, Mayor Broad, and through you. So the report before council this evening is regarding the dissolution of our archives partnership with North Dundas, and it outlines our path for continuing our archives operations. So we received notice this summer that North Dundas would like to terminate the shared services agreement regarding the archives. They brought a report to their council last week and have advised us that they would likely be out by December 31st. So they are establishing their own facility due to fiscal considerations, and South Dundas will assume full control of the archives located in Iroquois. So a couple important things to note. The archives in South Dundas will remain open and operational throughout this transition. All of South Dundas's materials will stay secured at this location as well, and public access will continue without interruption. North Dundas will remove their items by year end. We are working closely with them to work on an asset inventory and an equitable division of jointly acquired resources. The board, at our last board meeting, we were directed to finalize the digitization of all the newspapers at the archives. So there was a number of newspapers that had yet to be digitized. So we're using any surplus funds to finalize that, as it would benefit both North and South Dundas. Some of the benefits, I guess, although this partnership is ending, we feel that there are some benefits to South Dundas, including having control over operations and service priorities. We have more space for our collection to grow, and we're hoping to use this space to enhance South Dundas' history and heritage, and perhaps an opportunity to strengthen our local partnerships with, for example, the UEL or the South Dundas Historical Society. We recently met with the United Empire Loyalists earlier this week to discuss the changes, since they have been part of the archive since inception, and they provide a very important service to South Dundas. So we are working very closely with them to discuss a new arrangement and contract with them, since their contract depended on the shared services agreement. So our shared cost of the archives is approximately $33,500 a year. That's 50% of the operating cost, and we will be assuming 100% of these costs going forward. We will be providing a full detailed budget during budget process, and we're looking at offsetting some of the costs by negotiating with the UEL, looking at program opportunities, and this transition will allow us to enhance this community resource while maintaining full control over how we serve our residents with historical and genealogical research needs. So before you tonight is the bylaw that would approve the dissolving of the shared partnership effective December 31st. And just to note, understanding that it's a large project for North Dundas to be able to remove all their items, and if it does go past that December 31st timeline, that we would remain the current agreement would remain status quo until they're completely out of the building. Happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Thanks, Clerk LeBrun. I think I can add on to that, since obviously I'm on the board and also was in the meeting with the UEL. And I think two messages, one for the community and for the council team. Status quo until we make the next decision. right? And I think there's strategic planning that we as a council team and some staff, we need to do on what the archives looks like in South Dundas as a standalone entity, and with potential other partners being the UEL or the South Dundas Historical Society or the Friends of the Chrysler Battlefield, all those other things. So I think there's some work that we need to do and potentially have a strategic planning meeting where we bring a lot of partners together to start to decide how, understanding what we have today and what we're losing with the termination of the contract with North Dundas, and then how we want to envision it going forward. So I think tonight the request and the motion is to accept North Dundas's termination of the contract, and then we'll start planning and bringing council and other groups together to understand what our potential next steps are. But I think we'll just status quo until we decide that next step as well. And, you know, in the meeting we had with the UEL, the UEL collection is centric to all residents of Dundas County. So that collection and that data is for residents of all Dundas County, not just South Dundas. So for the things to consider with the UEL on how that data is housed and shared and communicated. So be interesting on that. Other comments or questions you might have at this point? No. Okay, very good. I think hopefully that captured everything, Clerk LeBrun. So we have a motion, let it resolve that the Council of Municipality of South Dundas accepts the termination of the Dundas County Archives Partnership with the Township of North Dundas effective December 31st, 2025. And the bylaw number 2025-75 being a bylaw to repeal bylaw number 2021-106, shared service agreement for the municipal archives with the Township of North Dundas, be enacted this 29th day, October 2025, to come into force and effect on December 31st, 2025. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Bylaws. 8A, 2025-74, appointing acting fire chief, CEO DeHaan.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory, so I'll, if there's any questions, happy to answer it.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you. Just wondering what your thoughts are on the hiring policy and
Do you have any relatives on the fire department? So I have a motion, let it resolve that bylaw 2025-74 being a bylaw to appoint Benjamin DeHaan as acting fire chief in the municipality of South Dundas to be read and passed, signed and sealed at open council. Moved by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Congratulations, CEO DeHaan. Looking forward to the next report. Boards and communities, under 9. Gonna call on, I'll start with myself. So on B, SDG Municipal Summit. So on October 3rd, many of the staff members and some of council met in Avamore as the counties all got together and had a summit day where all the different community partners shared different learnings, topics, and training with us. A few interesting things that we talked, cybersecurity, and we had some good learnings on cybersecurity. Certainly on, for an example, if you see a flash drive in the parking lot, don't pick it up and plug it in your computer to figure out who it belongs to, especially in an unsecured computer, right? So that's one thing we kind of thought about. We've asked for more details. We had a delegation that I had requested. So Brian Dufresne was there from Paramedic Services, and he shared the priority medical dispatch system. So over a year ago, they changed to a color system, how it's improved service. And we've asked for a bunch of data, and we've actually going to have him come and do a delegation with us probably in the new year to explain that whole new system. So we're very familiar with the ambulance services and the current status of that system, which I feel is doing very well at this point. We talked, so Stormont talked about their vision and building. We talked about heritage properties at North Glengarry. CO DeHaan and Director Jansen shared the plaza upgrades that we're doing, and it had a lot of great questions and answers because it was kind of unique and very much appreciated. The price of progress, North Dundas shared about some of their growth, and they also shared their experiences from the emergency fire they had for the bog. So they shared a bunch of resources and information on that. And North Stormont shared their digital strategy. So a great day in Avonmore, connecting and learning a bunch of new topics. And we did come away with some good items. Also had a RSL board meeting the first of the month. Continue to talk about a lot of developments that are happening, certainly in Prescott with their long-term care home, new grocery store, EV chargers, obviously the startup of Merkley Oaks, Safavia coming online, the Seaway High School upgrades with all those air conditioners. That's a big impact to the hydro grid, right? So more electricity needed, but also more income for Rideau St. Lawrence. And then in Westport, the phase 3 of watercolor is a big development they have. Also talked about the trucks and fleet, similar conversations we have. And one of the biggest concerns is ongoing capacity. And we have started to work with Edgeworth Cardinal and the town of Prescott, working with IOSE, right, the Electrical Suppliers of Ontario, to start ensuring that we have that power grid coming to Eastern Ontario to meet all our upcoming needs. So that was the meat and potatoes of the board meeting at RSL last month. The next couple, I'm going to turn over to the Deputy Mayor, as I was away, Economic and Community Development Committee meeting.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. Yeah, we had our meeting on October 14th. One of the things we had talked about was the Awards of Excellence, which I'm sure you're going to talk about a little bit later on, so I'll just defer that little bit of a statement, but we did have a fruitful discussion. We got well planned. Thank you to Tia, who did a fabulous job. During our meeting, we did have a presentation from an Alex DeWitt. He is the Rural Economic Development Advisor for the Minister of Rural Affairs. And the presentation was on what they called First Impressions Community Exchange. And in a nutshell, what this program offers is we would partner up with another community, and we would have a group of individuals, and not necessarily all the council, not necessarily all the staff, but maybe a mix of the council staff and just general public, probably up to about 12 people. And we would go and visit somebody else's community, and there would be, Alex would set up a list of survey questions. And the survey questions would be around, you know, communications, signage, restaurants, all the stuff that we talk about in South Dundas, what that would improve South Dundas, or some of our weaknesses, some of our strengths. I don't mean the municipality of South Dundas, I mean South Dundas community. So they would do the same thing. So they would come, community would come to our area and do a survey. We would go to theirs and we would exchange information to highlight, again, maybe some of the stuff where we could be improving and some of the great stuff that we're doing. So it's kind of a sharing of information. Okay, so we did talk about that, and I think we'll be recommending us to do that once we formalize the meeting minutes on the next meeting, but we will be coming with a recommendation to do that. And I think it was in, correct me if I'm wrong, Tia, around 2016, 17, we had done that. We did know that the report that was created was too lengthy. It was a number of pages, a lot of repeat questions. So we're going to make sure or Alex will make sure he simplifies that for us. So that's one of the things we're looking forward to. And I am going to highlight, we talked about a little bit about our communications. And Jeff Pops, thank you. And the rest of the committee wanted to make it known how happy we are with the South Dundas websites and the communication. And we personally want to do a shout out of staff, but in particular of Tia and the great work that she's been doing. So I just want to say keep up the great work on behalf of the committee and the staff as well. And yeah, that was the Economic and Community Development Committee report.
Excellent, thank you. Great update, Deputy Mayor. Maybe we'll stick with you. SD County meetings from last Monday. You and Vino
Cole.
attended.
Cole.
Careful what was.
I know. I won't say nothing because it was in camera. But Cole was right. You know what? Give me a second here because I was
Okay.
so fixated on our other two personal
Yep, let me come back to you. I'll come back to you.
Come back to
because
that.
I could talk about the library board
for a while.
but I won't talk too long about the library board. I'll give you a chance to pull up the notes. I should have queued you up ahead of time, so I apologize. Yeah, no. So library meeting last Thursday in Chesterville with the board. Had a good review of the statistical summaries. The libraries throughout SD&G continue to see increase in circulation, usage at the libraries, computer usage, and borrowing. We are on a current drive, so within SD&G, we're advocating for everyone to get a library card and to use the library. There's great benefits and perks to the library, and if you sign up in the month of October, you have a chance to win some great prizes. So please come to your local library here in Morrisburg, Iroquois, Williamsburg, and sign up and get a membership. So that's ongoing. We also reviewed our marketing, and one of the really interesting things is what we've been able to do at the county library meeting. It was we overlay the strategic plan and the marketing plan, and the results of the two, and we meshed them together to see what marketing plan activities have increased the statistics, right? And then where we can adjust. So it's really important. So this is kind of why we got into this campaign in October. Is we looked back in August and we're like, we weren't going to meet our goals for increasing the amount of folks with library cards. So let's do a campaign, right? So we started to look at it ahead of time. So great use of the data. That I continue to advocate for and use that. So, and we also, we do an evaluation of the director and we do an evaluation of the board. And we talked about what the questions were for the upcoming month. So that was ongoing at the Chesterville Library. And we also had a great follow-up from SDG Reads, which was the event that was held in Avamore. 1st of October with Nikita Prost. She came and visited and talked about her 3 books, the main books, her first book that she wrote called The Maid. So it was a great event, completely packed in the Avamore Recreation Hall, and lots of great activities, and lots of folks from South Dundas attended. Come up to me and got to meet some folks and really enjoyed the author and promoting reading and book clubs and using the library. So that was great. So. Back to you, Deputy.
Okay, thank you, and I'd apologize for
No
that.
worries,
Like I say, I was so fixated with the two committees that was for South Dundas, I totally forgot to bring up the agenda. So yeah, we had our county council meeting. I will again thank Councillor Vino for attending on your behalf. It was weird. It was a short agenda, but there was a lot to talk about. We did have a presentation from Robert Alfred Hughes, who is the president and chief CEO of the Glengarry Memorial Hospital. He talked about the expansion of the hospital, the creation of the community hub, the attraction of doctors, and the overall expansion of the hospital itself. It is a plan that they are hoping. We say long term, but it's not really long term. Like 8 to 10 years, they're hoping to start getting more involved in the creation of the expansion, and hopefully start seeing it come to reality. And as we know, 8 to 10 years is really not that far along. So he did have a great presentation on that. We talked a little bit about some surplus land on County Road 15 that we're going to put for sale. Couple other things we talked about was County Road 22 reconstruction update. It's going very well. As you know, we did our road tour last week, and we had a chance to take a look at it and drive it, and it's looking great. The reaction on our drive-by was, oh my Lord, look at the depths of these ditches, but there is a municipal drain that runs parallel with the road for a certain length, so it will accommodate. They did have, unfortunately, the minimal rain we had in the one major storm, I think it was in July, did a washout of some of the culverts and in some of the infrastructure, so they had to do some repairs, but they did assure us that this was kind of a one-off. During major storms, the drainage will be well controlled. So we had that one. They did do again a update on the forest fire at the Alvin Reynolds Forest. So they gave us a little bit of an update on that one. And then we had a couple in-camera sessions. Again, I always want to thank Councillor Vino. He helped participate in that and helped us along in that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, very good. And I'll just add on, we did have the SDG roads tour last Wednesday. So we toured all 6 lower tiers, spent quite a bit of time in South Dundas. South Dundas next summer is up for paving. So we moved paving in areas to keep the cost down. So a lot of our roads, including County Road 1, will be paved coming in the next summer. So lots of activity in South Dundas. Rural Education Committee?
If it's okay, can I defer that
Yeah,
one?
no,
Because
that's
I just
fine.
feel
Just
that's
have-
part of the
yeah.
county council and we just had, I'd
Okay.
like to report back to them
Sure.
first. Okay,
Yep,
thank you.
sounds good. And then Iroquois Waterfront.
Yeah, Iroquois Waterfront. I'll just move over just to grab my notes here. We had a good meeting October 15th. A couple things we discussed about was the remaining budget and what we would like to, or what the committee would like to spend it on. A couple things that they're looking at is an arboretum. Arboretum, is that how you? Thank you. That too. Pathway about that's going to cost us about $6,000 to $8,000 to create. And we also talked about the purchase of the similar mat that for the beach for the accessibility. So there was a couple things that we talked about, adding a couple benches and pads here and there. We did, or the committee did, elect a new chair because John Ross had resigned or is stepping down. Again, he will be with the committee until the end of the year, and he's offered up his services. Tammy Tom was elected to chair the committee. And we talked about the tree burning, and just wanted to make sure that the committee was committed to do the tree burning in Iroquois after Mooresburg. And we just kind of bounced around maybe some fun ideas to do during that day. I think just fast forwarding a little bit, I think this is probably an opportunity where we should probably have a joint committee meeting. So maybe we can talk about, the tree burning together and see what kind of things we want to offer. Maybe Mooresburg offers something, we offer something a little bit different in Iroquois as well. And then I know we're going to get to it, the park bylaw, but that's probably a great opportunity that we bring that back to the joint committee as well. So I'd like to see that happen probably in November if we could. And then the other thing we talked about was bird bat boxes, getting Seaway District High School hopefully involved with their real world learning and building some bat boxes. Admittedly, I said I would not be there for the opening and I would not be there to see if there's any bats that actually fly into the boxes, as I'm not a bat lover. But we'll just close that one with that. Okay, and yeah, everything else seems to be going good. Yeah. Thank you.
Excellent. Tree burning, the 10th and 11th, is that the dates? Or the 3rd, 4th? What's the dates of the tree? Do you know offhand?
No.
So it's 3, 4? January,
First weekend after.
January 3rd, 4th?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Councillor Smith?
Sorry.
South Nation
Yeah.
Board of Directors meeting.
Yeah, so the last meeting, we were just starting to do some preliminary budget numbers for 2026. It looks a little bit like 3.8-ish is going to be our levy increase for this year. That's the starting point. There's been some wetland projects. The one that's up in Two Creeks is all but finished. We're supposed to be getting a invitation at some point in time for kind of like a grand reopening, if any council members, anybody would like to attend from here. I still haven't heard exactly when that's going to be yet. The next ones that they're going to be working on, wetlands are going to be working on, is in Snake Island Forest property, which is in the city of Ottawa, and there's another one that they're doing in the Charlieville area, which is up in Augusta Township, I believe. last meeting, I talked about the RALP program, which is the Resilient Agricultural Landscape Program. There's been so far 30 submissions from local landowners for that program, requesting so far $450,000 of funding. Also, another big topic that other last meeting was our asset management plan, which is what we have up on our screen in front of us here right now. There's a couple slides on there that I wanted maybe while we're here, everybody could take a look at. Go down a couple more, Crystal. Keep going. There we go. So that right there, that is a list of all the water control structures that South Nation is looking after currently. Chesterville Dam, Chrysler Dam, and Castleman Dam. Yeah, so that gives a snapshot of the next 10 years or so of capital expenditures that South Nation is looking at. And if you look, the big number that we want to look at is in the bottom right. The next 10 years or so, they're going to need about $5.35 million to repair everything to get it to good. So most of these structures that are on that entire river, so South Nation just celebrated its 75th anniversary, which also means that a lot of those structures all got built approximately 75 years ago, which is that's whenever that river was first controlled. So of course it's like every other piece of infrastructure, when it's 75 years old, now it needs to be rebuilt. So that's basically where we're at. And so of course, South Nation is always good with securing grants and these sorts of things, but it's not going to be anywhere near close to what they need to fully fund that. So hence why last year the capital levy was added on top of our regular levy. So they already do have some money set aside to do some of this work, but it's like everybody else's asset management plan. It's not even close to being fully funded. And so that's the anticipated shortfall that they are. You see the gray line underneath it, like the 1.5, that's estimated, just estimated. We'll call it potential grant money that they may get, which is going to leave them over the next 10 years trying to come up with about $3.8 million, or an average of yearly $347,000 to put towards asset management, and that's just for water control structures, not including buildings and all those sorts of things. So any hope of the capital levy lowering at any point in time in the future is probably not going to happen. So just to give everybody just a heads up as to 10-year outlook. So. I did suggest a couple ways to try and just to reduce the levy, about trying to move. Remember last year they came, Carl and Rhonda came to visit us we had to sign the agreement for the Category 3 program. So I suggested moving some of the money out of the Category 3 programs and over into, just putting it straight into capital. Of course, that was met with a lot of resistance, and so one of the sticklers for me was, so South Nation will buy land. People donate land to them. They buy land. They can go in and do similar to what the counties does, is with 50-50, you can do tax receipts and stuff like that. Partial donation, partial purchase, these sorts of things, right? So, and I suggested about the line item, earmarked for it, which is in a Category 3 for purchasing land, about moving, maybe just shifting a couple $100,000 out of that for the next 10 years or so, to try and help the asset management plan. So I was kind of left on an island all by myself of everybody else who was there. So looks like the capital levy is unfortunately going to be here to stay. So moving forward. So.
Well, thanks for trying.
Yeah,
just trying
I tried.
Yeah, of course, Councillor Ward.
Thanks, Mayor. If I could ask a question, I'm out of curiosity, Councillor Smith, does SNC carry debt? Or are they, just looking at this, instead of increasing the levy, would they not take on debt and then pay it? I know it's not a best practice, but.
Yeah. So to my recollection, right now, South Nation currently has zero debt. they have in their capital reserve 1.2 million in their capital reserve. So, but they're looking at about 3 point whatever to fully fund everything. So they're part way there. They're just not all the way there. So 200,000 for 10 years is another 2 million. So that's kind of like the ballpark number, like why that number is where it is. So.
Because the only good news is City of Ottawa is the bigger taxpayer
Correct.
of this than we
Correct.
are, but
Yeah.
it does affect everybody for sure. at
Yeah,
the bottom line.
yeah, because our part, like the $200,000-ish capital levy, like our portion of that is 4,000. Like we're only like a very small portion of the levy. So, yeah.
Well, great update, and thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Any other boards or meetings? Seeing none. Consent agenda. 10A, 2025 quarter 3 variance reports. B, KIR annual charity game and family skate. C, KIR fleet repairs. D, correspondence from MTO fall road talk. E, letter of Ministry of Environment updates re-policy. F, update Dundas Manor neighborhood news. G, resolution town of Newmarket automated speed enforcement resolution. H, Niagara region respecting state of emergency on mental health, homelessness, and addictions. I, resolution Kitchener City postage. J, resolution West Lincoln support consultation on future community natural gas expansion. K, resolution from the town of Wasaga Beach, mandatory water safety and swim to survive training. L, resolution town of Plymouth, Wyoming, freeze conservation authority fees. M, resolution municipality of Blue Water keep climate change as a foremost national priority. Have a resolution, let it resolve that all the items under the consent agenda be adopted as presented. Moved by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. All right, discussion items. Key information report under 11A, 99 Main Street. Director Jansen.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. If we'd like, we can answer all the questions in the key information report because I believe my score on the board is not going to win tonight. Just going to throw that out there. Not seeing any takers. But we'll start with the first key information report for you guys tonight is about the 99 Main Street building. It was donated to the BIA in 2014. By a donor with the purpose of being the BIA office as well as a public washroom. I've attached the original lease in there that sort of shows the intent of the donation. Long term, obviously the BIA dissolved in mid 2024 and all of their assets were either being held or dissolved to the municipality as part of that process. Within our asset management plan, including the level of service document that you guys just went through, this property was deemed exceeding the level of service that we were looking to provide. Additionally, I'll say there's been no tenant use. The BIA wasn't using the space during COVID. They moved out. And just as a facility manager, you never like to see the vacant space sitting there empty. So just sort of looking to start wrapping this one up so the space doesn't sit vacant anymore. So in front of you, I put a few options on next steps. But staff are recommending moving forward with option 1, which is deeming it surplus and then giving it back to the original donor in good faith. So sort of a good faith transaction. Outside of that, if council has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But just looking for council's direction, and then we'll work on the deeming it surplus and the next steps from there.
Questions, comments? Surplus? Let's move ahead with option 1, Director. Thank you very much. 11B, key information report draft, ICE allocation policy. Director Jansen.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in front of you is a policy that the recreation staff's actually been working on a little bit for the last about year and a half in the background. We're trying to sort of get away from the historic days of that's always how we've done it discussion and trying to make it into a policy that, you know, works for everybody and moves forward. Obviously, there's been a little bit of turnover since some certain mayor stepped down as the ice allocation or as the scheduler for minor hockey after many years.
Yes.
They've gone through a few schedulers as well as the municipal staff have also had a few turnover. So just seeing that turnover happen a lot has sort of brought to the surface, you know, that having the policy helps everybody here, whether it's on the staff side or even on the volunteer side, just outlining, you know, what the next steps are. Ice allocations aren't really a new policy. We're seeing them pop up all over, even more in Ontario. I know I've seen some in Northern Ontario coming out. And so this one's based off of Kemptville, so North Grenville, Kemptville Arena, and also North Dundas to create sort of the base for it. So we're not reinventing the wheel here. Inside the policy, you'll see it just outlines a lot of the key steps that we already go through with allocating ice. So whether it's scheduling, whether it's the requirements, cancellations is a big one that we're just trying to get into the policy, so that way when can the municipality cancel, when can others cancel, how does that affect the timelines and stuff, rather than seeing that, and then just working our way through prioritizing ice usage, whether it's, we've worked really hard the last couple of years to increase our public access to ice, and, stick and puck, parent and tots, and, as council is well aware, the arena isn't self-funded, it's funded quite a bit by the taxpayer, so we want to make sure that that ice time is open to the public as much as we can. So putting some of that into the ice allocation policy to make sure that, the general resident has access to the arena as much as possible. Outside of that, I did send out the policy to the 3 big groups in the arena, so the Mooresbrook Skating Club, the Junior Cs, and minor hockey. I didn't get too much feedback from them. My plan is, after I get some of council's feedback, maybe I'll do one more round of reaching out to them for a little bit more feedback. The big comments came from minor hockey, and the whole reason you send it out was the first one was weather cancellations. I know there's a little bit of a typo in the report there. I had 6 hours in the draft. Minor hockey came back and said our policy is actually 4 hours. It's easy for us to just align our policy. So literally the whole point of having them review, and so that came to and then just looking for better communication and shared information amongst the policy as we looking to get better and better going forward. And then the last one in there was the priority use. Always a little bit of the conflict. The big item in the ice allocation policy is obviously the priority of ice. A big clarification for council is that there, at the beginning of the draft policy, you will see the historical precedence part. So that holds a lot of the "this is how we've always done it" mentality is still there. It's just documented. So ice allocation policy is more going towards anything that isn't historical precedent. So let's say minor hockey uses 40 hours a week and they give 1 hour back to us. That new hour that has become available becomes free for allocation. So it would go to this policy, and that's where we'd go. Staff keep a wait list of people reaching out for birthday parties. We have different clubs from outside of South Dundas, within South Dundas, looking to form. Unfortunately, prime ice is difficult to find, so if an hour comes available, there would be a big fight to get that hour in some way. So it's a great problem to have, but we just want to make sure that we have the policies to make the correct decisions there. Outside of that, I'm happy to answer any of council's questions or concerns. Like I said, I'll take any of your guys' comments, bring them back, and do one more round of feedback with those user groups, and then in the future look to bring back this policy for passing by bylaw.
Yeah, great, Director Jansen. 2 comments. One is, after 13 years of doing the ice scheduling with Julie and Kevin, we knew how it operated inside and out, but it's certainly nice to get it down on paper. So it's clear. I think it's really important for all the clubs that use the arena for their budget to know, what they're responsible for, what the cancellation policy is, so they can definitely, when they're figuring out registration costs, have it in there, so there's no surprises, right? So I think that's really good. Yeah, just super strong alcohol policy, and I know Kevin Councilman asked me just about the Junior Cs. We passed a motion to allow them to get a liquor license that overrides the in use, but it's really important for the everyday users to understand what the alcohol policy is at the arena. So just wanted to call that out. That we supersede that for the Junior C, allowing them to get a license, or any other group that may come forward with that request. Questions or other comments? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, just a couple. I'm just going back to my days when I was the pro coach for the Adam and Novice House Leagues. I do like it that there was still some language in there about the flexibility of the groups kind of working with themselves, that if I had ice time available and you needed some ice time, that there was that little bit of flexibility that they could still communicate over this from the supervision from you guys, obviously, but I like that flexibility because I think that is important. The only question I had, and it's been a while since I've coached, and you could tell me if it's realistic or yourself, it does say in here about tournaments and scheduling, and it kind of gave a date of August 31st to allow for coordination of ice times. And I was just wondering with today, is that realistic, August 31st? Because isn't the team still kind of going through and trying to get organized and whatnot? So, I was just maybe a little confused.
So for minor hockey, I can answer that.
Yeah,
So
okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, for minor hockey to host a sanctioned tournament, they would need to make an application in the summertime to heal and get it approved. So they would know that beforehand, potentially, if they were going to hold a tournament.
Oh, okay. So it's not like when our teams get created and we're like, let's host a one-day tournament. That's not the purpose of that one.
Yeah,
okay, thank you. That's
that could come up though, like during the season. It's like, hey, could we do it?
Yeah.
And I guess David would probably use his other resources to figure out if you can make it happen. But yeah, typically they would know ahead of the season.
okay. Perfect. So they was, that's where I was getting a little bit confused. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the clarification.
Very good. Okay. Yeah, so that's great. I think everything's great. And I think continuing getting the feedback from each group and come back with a final update is great. C, key information report, park use bylaw, Director Jansen.
Thank
We
you,
got,
Mr. Mayor.
we got facilities, recreational parks. You got them all covered
I got them
tonight.
all covered.
We got time, but it's not 8 o'clock.
I still got time to meet my guests, though. So thank you, Council. So in front of you is a policy that we've sort of been working our way towards here all year. Obviously, we've tried a few different approaches, and this is sort of where we've ended up. So I won't get too much into the history. Obviously, I think it was early this summer. I was maybe scrolling on my phone, reading the news, and I saw the city of Barrie was issuing some bylaw tickets for their brand new beach bylaw. So I reached out to the city of Barrie and bounced around a little bit, but I finally got a Teams call with somebody and talked a little bit through their process that they'd gone through. And, they sent me a little bit of stuff and I was able to pull some stuff off their website, what was working, what wasn't working, were they seeing a net benefit because of this and aspects of it? They said, it's too soon to really give them too much data, but they're seeing kind of status quo, but a little bit more under control is what they said. Their garbage quantities are still up there. The food coming in is still up there, but they're seeing a little bit more containment on, because they sort of localize things. So they had some positive feedback, and it was nice to, even just bounce some of the problems that we're having off of somebody else. It's great to have those conversations, and so that's sort of what spurred this on. From there, this report, you'll see it's kind of broken into 3 parts. So the first section is on the new bylaw and the rules within it. So I think there's about 30 different provisions worked into the bylaw here. Some of them very general, don't kick a tree over. Some of them very centralized, like, no barbecuing within this beach area. But I think generally a lot of those provisions, as council probably read through them, fit with the discussions that, we've either had with residents, that we've had here at the council table. I don't think there's anything that stands out as a big surprise to anybody there. Overall, for the bylaw itself, I know the deputy mayor kind of already hinted at it. So the next steps that I see for this bylaw is that I would like to take it to both waterfront committees or both waterfront committees at the same time, just get their feedback. Obviously, they've provided a lot of input this year, and they've worked hard at those waterfronts, so I want them to be involved in it as well. Additionally, similar to the family hiring relatives bylaw, just get a quick legal opinion on it before we pass it as an official bylaw. Those are sort of the 2 next steps I see on the bylaw, and ultimately, it is a KR, it's up for discussion right now, so if there's anything that you want to change, add, just let us know and we can work that in and go from there. Obviously, the big second part is enforcement. This is where I am looking for a little bit more direction from council, just on what direction you're feeling and you'd like to go going forward. I outlined kind of 3 options, and each has its pros and cons and benefits. But before we do the deep dive into it, I just want to get a little bit of feedback on what direction council's looking to go. So obviously, option 1, sort of staying with the status quo. We have our bylaw officer for the municipality, and looking to get him out, as much as we can on the weekends within his allotment of workload. But, you're kind of looking at, 3 hours here this weekend, and then maybe he's away a weekend, and then you're able to get a couple hours here and there. So it's sort of similar to what we're seeing now, but, you're not going to get that enforcement that I think, maybe council's looking for, maybe the public's looking for. But we also, with this new bylaw, don't exactly know how much enforcement we're going to need. There's maybe one good weekend of enforcement, some new signs, and we don't need that much more enforcement. It's hard to tell right now, and maybe that's a little bit of a long term. We'll have to get the data and make that decision. But the second one was looking at hiring a casual employee. Obviously, we discussed this with the beach attendance direction that we went earlier this year. Sort of a similar idea, putting out a job ad for a casual employee, no real commitment on the municipality side. Obviously, paying similar to a bylaw officer would be, gives our bylaw officer somebody that he can call on and utilize to help fill in those weekends, get a little bit more enforcement time out of there without the commitment to a full-time employee. So obviously, we're still going to be subject to whoever that is, but we're thinking that if we put out a targeted job ad, you know, there's always that we'd find somebody qualified. So that's the advantage of this one, is that we'd find somebody maybe with some bylaw experience, somebody who's done it before. And then the third option that we're actually considering is, and I'm not going to force any staff into it, but we've had some preliminary discussions about the option of, you know, just expanding who is appointed a bylaw officer in the municipality. And that just gives us a bigger array of people to put out there, you know, whether it's my park staff who are already out there, you know, you're picking up the garbage, you see somebody lighting a campfire, are you able to issue them a ticket at that time, or do you have to wait and call the bylaw officer? So looking at some of that availability, obviously then you're going to put, you know, a parks worker in a position that you'd prefer to have your bylaw officer and trained in. So, you know, pros and cons to each of those options, but looking for some direction from council, which way they'd like to go. And then the third part is a little bit of education and signage. So obviously everything with this comes down to, you know, the signage. We've all heard about it. So yeah, well, happily, and I think the bylaw is going to be a great starting point, because honestly, those provisions written in the bylaw, you fine tune them so they're not as hard in legal jargon, but it kind of writes your sign for you. So I think the signage will come together pretty quickly. I did get the City of Barrie signs as well. I'll personally admit I didn't love them. They didn't mold with the signage that we already have, so maybe making our own using the bylaw might be the way to go. And then also just looking at the education point of it too. So ultimately, are we going to go out in 2026 and the very first person that brings their barbecue last year shows up this year, are we issuing them a ticket the day of, or are we going to go through, you know, hey, summer 2026, we're just issuing warnings unless obviously we see repeat offenders type of thing. So that's sort of the status of the bylaw, and I'm happy to take any feedback the council has on those three sort of parts of the report.
Thanks, Director Jansen. I certainly have feedback about the policy, enforcement, and signage, all three, and I'll give them all at the same time. The status quo is not good enough. Clear from personal conversations I have with residents, conversations I have with the team, and social media posts. So we just need change. Love all the ideas. There's lots of ways to think about it, and the waterfront committees, and there's lots of ways, things we can do. I just want to move ahead, not with the status quo. And if we got to put money in the budget, let's get it in there and understand what we're going to do and work with the partners, the waterfront committees, and the other folks that have great ideas on what we want. I just feel we got to move ahead. We've talked about this a couple times, and let's drive on and get something going for sure. Up here.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. I agree on your first point. I mean, I think we're creating these bylaws. We're trying to get more structure, and we created a new bylaw last meeting before. And I think if we're going to be serious about our bylaws, we need somebody to be serious to enforce the bylaws. I really do think we need to move forward. I like the education first piece. And I think that will be complemented with the signage and the proper layout of our waterfronts to ensure that, you know, if we have designated areas where people can enjoy eating areas, outdoor eating areas, that's where they need to be to go. You know, I just feel that if we don't do that, and what I've seen over, I mean, we're trying to move forward with creating the cenotaph at the Mooresburg waterfront. And during the summer, and I'm not saying it's bad that people were there, but there was volleyball going on, and I could just see now we're going to try to mix things together. And if we can have some designated areas, just to have a better control, I think the way to do that. I mean, how you do that in terms of if it's a staff member or we actually get maybe take it more serious and have to hire somebody, and maybe they are a full-time staff member. To complement our other bylaw officers, maybe that's what we have to do. But I think we have to take that serious. I agree on that front.
Yeah. Councilor Ward?
Thanks, Mayor. So I agree. I personally think we should just hire someone. I'd like to see the option too. I also would like to see, it's a lot for one person to enforce that many people. Like if anyone's been down there, I'm sure lots of people have seen how many people go to the beaches, and for one person that maybe people don't recognize as a person of authority to enforce rules would be extremely challenging. So I would like to see if we could reach out to the OPP And if they're not interested in assisting us with this, I'd like to see if we reach out to someone who has a private police service. So like the city of Cornwall has a police service that I know you can hire for events for security. So I'd like to see if that's an option, maybe for the first time or whatever. Just to kind of get the message across that we're taking it seriously and it's not a matter of debate. These are the rules. That being said, too, the education first. I agree. Like I don't think someone who had their little barbecue last year coming, you know, exactly. I think we need to be recognize that people are coming from all over the place and they maybe don't have all of the information all the time. That being said, I think it's really important too that we communicate the information. And I know Tia does an excellent job with communication. So if we just make sure we start advertising the new changes very early. Because I do think people visit our website and the beaches page is actually just looking at it. And I think there's obviously some room there where we can add some of that information in. So that's kind of what I'd like to see. It's a good start. And then maybe, I'm assuming there's going to be more things brought in the budget for 2026 about control mechanisms. Maybe that's kind of what I thought was. Yes. Okay, good. All right, perfect.
WR?
Yeah, just quickly on that one, and I think I passed it on. I was approached by an OPP officer that was actually inquiring about our bylaw position before it got, or just as it got filled. And he said he would be more than willing to help us out, whether we hire him, that the logistics would have to be worked out. But there is somebody that has stepped forward that said, and I think they would be a great community person. I think, Ben, I think I pass that on to you, and if not, I can pass it on to you again.
Go, Councillor Vino,
I echo this, and we are talking a lot about the waterfronts right now, but I agree that we need to take this seriously, and I agree that I think we should hire somebody to do that. But we talk about the waterfronts a lot, but there's a lot of places around that individual would be able to do good. I think, I mean, parking, just general awareness throughout the municipality, a good face for the municipality. I think there's a lot of good that somebody in that role could do for us.
And it leads to education versus ticketing, right?
Yes.
Passing on what the right information is. Yeah. Spokesperson for the community as well. Councillor Smith?
Yeah, I was actually just going to mention until the deputy mayor say it that we should try and find like a retired OPP, RCMP, something like that, something like, just looking for part-time work or something like that. Like that person must be out there somewhere, and that would be a perfect candidate for this.
Yeah, I think getting on it early, right, is also going to be the key to that. Any other comments or director you need? Oh,
Sorry, Mayor,
Yeah,
but
go
the
ahead.
only comment I would have, and again, we kind of alluded to it, I really do think it's important that we get this bylaw to both waterfront committees, and we have a good, fruitful, and it's just a session to talk about this, and just let's throw out the ideas and make sure we get some feedback. We might have missed something, they may have something new, but I think that's very important to do that.
If I can make a suggestion, like I know we talked about having a joint meeting about events and stuff. I think there should be a joint special meeting separate, even if we have to have two in November or something like that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Any other comments or questions, Director? You're good with direction? Okay. E, key information report, draft municipal alcohol policy. D. Oh, yeah, sorry. Oh, yes. We already did facilities, parks, and recreation. Okay. 11D, key information report, draft performance assessment policy. Director, or CEO DeHaan.
Yeah, thank you, Council. So just very quickly for Council's info, we do have some information, well, we do have some verbiage in our personnel policy manual with respect to performance reviews. One area where it doesn't really highlight is CAO's performance review process. So one of the tasks that I was given as I started was kind of enhancing that, making sure we have a good formal process in place. And to do that, felt like the best way forward was through a separate policy that really captured not only for a CAO position, but also for staff itself. What we're really trying to do in this is enhance what the PPM already has, clarifying some timing with respect to not only full-time, because this is a challenge I've had even as in my role throughout my time in a different organization is, okay, what about casual staff, part-time staff? Like when's the right time to provide that feedback to them based on where they are and how they're moving through the organization? So we wanted, that's included in the proposed policy. The process itself, which is, somewhat of an informal process right now, but wanted to formalize it a little bit more and how that looks. And then really a lot of the meat and potatoes of this policy beyond some of that detail is related to the CAO performance review process. So making sure that we have something in place. What I'm hopeful is council supports the policy as it is, or if there's some minor adjustments to it, kind of recognizing we're approaching the end of the year, which is when the performance assessments are done for staff within the organization. And then particularly for the CAOs, there's quite a lead up before council can actually get together or before it's in front of me, just through because it is a 360 type of review where it's going to directors and direct reports, council, and getting some feedback. So I want to start that process right away so we're not scrambling at the end of November to try and get that information. So all that to say, I'll look for council's input. If there's anything to change in this draft policy, if things are good or if there's minor tweaks, we'll start the process for our CAO role and bring the final one forward at the next meeting.
Yeah, no, that's great. See you, Rohan. Obviously, request of mine to get this started and going. No specific details. Obviously, wanted to experience. Let's just do the first session, get through the first session. That's when we'll gather the most feedback on little tweaks and changes here. But certainly, just want to get the CO 360 review started and continuing with all the reviews within the organization. Really key piece for the municipality on those reviews. So appreciate you bringing forward an updated policy for us to discuss and get going. Any other questions or comments? Oh, okay. We'll get her started. We'll start with you.
And if I may, it does model the county's process, so the mayor and deputy mayor should be relatively familiar with that. And I thought that would be helpful because at least you've had some experience kind of working through that process at the county level. So. Yeah,
I'd reached out and discussed with Kristen Summers too about being part of this and helping us as well. So we've started that process. So very good. Now we can move to key information report, draft update, municipal alcohol policy. Director Jansen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Chief DeHaan for taking a little break from my reports. So in front of you, next up is the municipal alcohol policy. So there's sort of two parts to this one. Maybe I'll go one part at a time. The first half of this is updating our current municipal alcohol policy. There's been no updates to it since 2017, I believe. So a lot of just housekeeping from some of the feedback that we've received since 2020, whenever I arrived here, that I'm aware of. Just shortening some of the wording, and then I did a great job shortening the wording, and then I added a bunch of wording back in with the descriptions of all the duties and stuff like that. We still ended up with a bit of a lengthy document, but we managed to shorten it by about 7 or 8 pages still. So there's not too many major changes here. We just provided the clarification on the jobs, a little bit of clarification on some security versus staffing requirements, and we still ran it through the EGGO checker. So they have a little checker that'll make sure that your municipal alcohol policy aligns well with their policies. So that's the update to the municipal alcohol policy there. So just looking to see if council has any comments on that. If not, we'll bring that back for update. No matter what the result of the long-term discussion is, I feel like that'll still be months in the line. So I'd still like to update the policy. Obviously, it's been since 2017, so it's due for a little housekeeping. If council has any feedback on that, I'm happy to incorporate it before I bring back the final draft.
Just looking Appendix A and B on where we allow and not allow. Matilda Memorial Park. So I know the committee has just redone their building, working on their kitchen. Would that be an area where they might be could be requesting us to allow special permits? So should we be thinking about moving them to Schedule A? Yeah, I think they would probably be thinking that way. Yeah, that upgrade of that building, it will be all up to new code, new washrooms, and new kitchen. So that'll be should meet all the Alcohol and Gaming Commission requirements. Yep. Yes, Councillor Ward.
Can I just ask a simple question? So in Appendix B, and this is just clarification for my own knowledge. So Appendix B is areas and facilities not eligible for special occasion permit events. And the arena is listed there. Obviously, like the lobby and the dressing room, but then in Appendix A, it has it in there, but we allow the sale of alcohol at the arena. So is that?
Yeah, we probably should move them to Appendix A, where we will allow special
Whereas-
permits, because we did allow through the resolution, right, to
Yeah.
allow that?
Unless there's a, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
how
so
that-
through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor, so that actually would, so it is not allowed still, is what I'm, so it belongs in Schedule B. Section 20 has any and all requests and exemptions to this poly must be approved by council a minimum of 30 days ahead of time. So the alcohol sales that we have now have been approved as an exemption. So anybody, the policy's only, it's for staff to follow. Ultimately, anybody can request an exemption to the policy. It just requires council's approval, which has already been received for the arena.
Okay. Okay.
Which since we have approved it, maybe we should just move it to A? I guess that would though,
Allow
we
everyone.
still allow us to control what happens at the rink. So that's probably better.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to understand.
Yeah,
I
that makes
appreciate
sense.
that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because staff would then maybe issue somebody else a permit without our knowledge potentially. And at this point, we've been controlling that piece. Okay, very good. Yeah, that's a good question, and that's good understanding where we're at. Yeah. Any others?
Are we debating on the
Sure.
what option you're looking for?
Yeah, so I'll
yeah,
move
right.
into part two. I decided to, rather than give it all at once, I'll break it into two parts. I already missed my time anyway now, so we got lots of time. So the second part of this, I know there is a staff recommendation. I'm very open to all of the ideas here. I think, many people in the public, I've had conversations with lots of people as to, what really is the best route going forward for the municipality here long term. Currently, we use the SOP system. So that means anybody can pull an SOP, operate a bar at, Matilda Hall, go from there. It's very flexible, but it probably, like, if you want to talk risk to the municipality, it's probably a higher risk situation. We have people who aren't used to doing a liquor event or anything like that, pulling SOPs, running events. So for the municipality, it's probably a higher risk situation, but to anybody renting the hall, it provides the most flexibility. So there's going to be pros and cons to everything here. Some other options that I did want to throw out there and just see if, long term are these directions we want to go. Like ultimately, I'm just looking for council's direction and, I'm not going to have time to implement one of these until 2026 probably. But other options that we could look at is, sticking with the SOP system, but kind of making a list of people who are acceptable to run bars. So, we see the main players who are running bars here in the municipality. The Lions Club was here today. The Junior C Lions are running bars. We see the fire associations, a lot of those, and they're great fundraising groups within the community. Like ultimately, the Lions Club is running that bar to raise funds for the Lions Club. And so looking to see if we want to make an exclusive list of, whether we want to tie it to each facility, whether we want to tie it to the municipal alcohol policy as a whole. Maybe we put out a little a call for request. If you want to be on this list, let us know. Maybe, the Historical Society is looking for another fundraising. Like I'll be honest, I wrote this report the day after the 100 Men, and I'd watched all the 7 presentations and sat there like, this is a great fundraising opportunity for many of these organizations that struggle with fundraising. So it would give them the ability to run the bar and profit from it while, putting a trusted source in charge of the bar, so lowering the municipal requirements. And then the third option that we could look at is actually licensing our facilities long term. So then the municipality would hold a full liquor license there. It would remove the SOP system. And I think the biggest benefit to this is, one, it does put a little bit more licensing and control on the municipality. So, getting it set up would be a little bit of a process, but ultimately once it's set up, per facility, we'd be looking at $150 a year just to maintain that renewal. And then I suspect there are municipalities out there that they run the bar themselves. They control the alcohol. Someone like myself might, hey, so-and-so is looking to have an event. We hire the bartenders. We pay the bartenders. They collect tips, all that type of idea. And then there's municipalities who make revenue on something like this. Like they run the bar. Ultimately, I think I wouldn't really propose that to council, but it is an option. The other option is we can do a little bit of a hybrid with option 2, and we partner with some of these organizations in the community, and they would still run the bar for us. But ultimately, just looking to get a little bit of council's long-term strategy. Do we just want to keep going with SOPs? Do we want to look at making a list? to help these local fundraising groups, or do we want to pull a liquor license and either try and make money ourselves or work with these groups but lower their cost to doing it? So just wanted to get a little bit of feedback from council and go forward from there.
Oh, great, and great conversation to have. Lots of options, probably none are wrong. Obviously, just opinion and risk averse. A couple things is having a list, a group of people, then that we probably have better trust that they're following the right rules. They all have their smart serve, right, and know what the rules are versus, a person just having an event and getting a license and they've got to follow those rules or not follow them. So what is interesting though on this for the special occasion permits, for the fundraising piece is they're buying a license every time. So that $150 each time is eating into the, how much, like I saw a lot just to make that back, right? So if the municipality held the license, but we had a group that fundraise, that would make them more money. So some the things to think about, whether we want to do that or not, that's open for discussion, but that's certainly a few ways to think about it for sure. Councillor Ward?
Thanks, Mayor. So I almost wonder if we could do a combination, like you suggested, Director Jansen, of option 1 and option 2, where, I still strongly feel option 1, we should leave in some facilities because you have your buck and does and your things there that I think a lot of people rely on to kind of raise money for some of their events. And I don't want to take that away from the community because I think that's one of the benefits of having the halls that we have. But perhaps looking at developing a list of those who are interested in running bars for events. Like I'm just thinking off the top of my head, if I wanted to have a fundraiser, but I don't necessarily want to run the bar, like maybe I can select someone from that list and they can run the bar and they can utilize the funds for their own their own things. Or alternatively, like maybe we could look at, there's certain facilities where we want to have only this list of registered or approved people run the bar because it's more of a formal setting. It's an important building, or it's more a high risk building. I'm not really sure how to look at that, but that's kind of where I'm sitting. I don't know if the rest of council agrees, but I'd like to see kind of a combination of two, and I'm not sure if that gives you any insight, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Other comments? Councillor Smith?
Yeah, just regarding the liquor license fee, like the $150, where does that get paid to? Does that come to us or does that go to the liquor license board?
Yeah, so through you, Mayor, it goes to Agro or the Liquor Control Board, whatever you want to call it. But
Right. It's just, do we want to be in the liquor business? I guess that I don't think so. I even though dollars and cents, even though dollars and cents wise, it
my
makes
suggestion
sense.
was, I would never want us to be the ones hiring and doing all that.
Yeah.
But we hold the license, and these 6 groups, they get the job, so
Yeah.
they can actually make the more profit
Yeah.
on that. That would be my only thought about it. But I like the special occasions and the group, having a good group list. The groups can share the profits too, right? I'm having an event. Let's split. I'll hire you. We'll split there could be negotiations or ways to look at it too. So. Councilor Ward?
Just through you, Mayor, is there anything stopping someone who wants to get their own special occasion permit from hiring someone else to do the bar right now?
possibly, I'd have to double check. I don't think, if they hired somebody, they can't make a profit off of a special occasion permit. A company can't make a profit off of a special occasion permit, I believe.
That would be correct.
So if I were to have a fundraiser and I was to hire someone for the bar, that's a not-for-profit, I could not split that revenue source between myself and them.
Well, that potentially be okay because that's the.
But if I'm pulling an SOP,
But it's different than dealing with a restaurant that has a license, so where they're already buying. That was kind of your first question. So hiring a company is not the same as hiring a volunteer group.
okay. I think that's what I want to know. So is there, if I'm a not-for-profit or I'm someone who's getting married and I want to hire the Lions Club to do the bar, can I split the profit with them, yes or no?
The Lions Club can do whatever they want with their profit.
Right, but if I hire them and we have an agreement and we split This is what I'm asking,
yeah,
because
yeah.
then if that's possible, then why are we getting involved? Like, I don't know why we would even bother getting involved. Do you know what I mean? No. So why is the township telling people who they can use?
Today, well, they're not. Today we're not.
Right, but
Right. So
that's
today
what
we're
I'm
not. But what we're saying is maybe we should say to, folks that want to rent our halls, these are the groups that are allowed to apply for the special occasions permit at our hall.
But then they
Right.
can't apply,
But
right?
they can't apply, right? And that was your point
Yeah.
originally, saying maybe we have a combo where you still can do that, which is fine.
Which is why that's what I want to know, if they can,
But-
if I could do that.
But I think the Director Jansen's point is like to have person X in the community that has no experience in selling alcohol get the license to sell alcohol. Is that a risk to us versus the Lions Club, the junior C's, the people? Now that's kind of what Director Jansen's thinking, if I'm putting words in your mouth, Director.
So yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, and to your hybrid, now that it's played out in my head for a couple minutes, and I think it'll tie in nicely to I think long term, it's a good option, and it just, in the fee bylaw, I might break, like right now our fee bylaw is alcohol and no alcohol, and there might just be a reduction in what the municipality would charge for a rental, depending on who's running the bar, and that's just us playing our risk. Like ultimately, if we staff an event or force, security to be at that event, it's obviously a higher risk event to us. Like if I staff a stag and doe then it's going to cost the municipality more to host that event versus, if the Lions Club's running the bar and I look at it and I don't have to staff it, well, now it's a lower cost to the municipality. So the renter would see that benefit instead. So that's sort of where my brain went. But obviously at this point, I'm just trying to get some feelers from council. So it's great. And we can look at, what strategy we do long term.
Wow. I thought the hiring of firemen were complicated. But what qualifications, sorry, through you, Mayor Broad, but in order to run a bar, they're going to have certain qualifications, right? They're going to have their smart serve. So why would we be wanting to put ourselves in a position to create a list and control who runs the bar? If somebody wants to rent the hall and the people that are qualified to run the bar have their smart serve, then why complicate it?
That's the question. It was just.
Well, that's what I'm at. Like, why complicate it? Like, why? I just don't even think that. And I hear what you're saying, and I think in theory, it's a good idea. But now we're going to have a list of six groups that may be qualified to run. I think it's going to be too complicated. I think we're overcomplicating it. I think just keep it as status quo and just keep running it as we have been. I would just, my opinion, I'm just trying to get the feedback here and just going, okay, if we've got these questions, it's just going to generate more questions and maybe some inconsistencies of, certain groups that there may be one or two groups that are always asked to serve in the bar, and there's another 4 groups that are never asked, and then, well, wait a minute, this group wants to run the bar because there's 300 people that are going to show up, but yet you're not asking me because there's only 50 people. I just think this is too complicated in my opinion. I'm a simple guy to begin with. I think we just keep it simple and it's just status quo, to be honest with you. That's what I'm hearing.
I think that was what I was circling
Yeah.
back to. Sorry, Mayor. It's just easier to do one.
Okay. Let's keep it status quo, Director.
Appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, that was the whole point, is to have the conversation to see if there's any appetite in that. Clerk Run, you want to add, or you're good now? You're good now? Okay. We will move to F, Key Information Report, Mooresburg BIA Fund Allotment. I'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor St. Pierre.
Thank you. And for all the viewers out there, it is still 0-0 because it's not 8 o'clock. But if my wife is viewing this, please start taping the game. As I forgot to hit record. Okay, so just give me a second here after we were talking about that. I just got to get to the report. Your reports were thorough tonight.
76.
Okay, so key information report, Mooresburg BIA funds allocation options. David
So-
Jansen, I'll turn
Thank
it
you,
to you.
Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you.
So as we've already discussed a little bit this evening, obviously, last June, the BIA did dissolve, and all of their assets by the Municipal Act do come to the municipality and ultimately are ours to use from there going forward. We've sort of been delaying, waiting for our audited books, which we finally got back and approved in August, I want to say. And then some director was away in September. So here we are in October discussing these funds. Obviously, there's about $39,000 in change that we're discussing here today. It's left over from a couple of years of BIA sitting in a reserve fund here for the municipality. We've had lots of feedback from some BIA members during, obviously, our plaza discussions here over the summer. And even before that, we were getting a little bit of feedback on it. Ultimately, I don't think that there's any perfect solution that's going to please every single person involved. For anybody who knows the dear Deputy Treasurer Mason, him and I have had some discussions and playing devil's advocate with each other on what the best option for these funds are. And we haven't landed on one that both of us agree on. So ultimately, I'm open to any ideas that council may have on this one. We don't really have a true recommendation in here, but we did put a couple options in there. So one option is that we could look at returning the funds back to the groups. Obviously, there's been some business changes and turnover within the businesses, so it could get a little interesting in there. Option number two is so sort of a little bit more of the looking at using the funds, whether we target it for one specific item at the plaza that helps, but then you're trying to find one item that benefits all the businesses that paid into the fund equally. It's difficult to come up with. To that side, you could do a little bit of a hybrid. You could return the funds to, the East End Promenade wouldn't be a tough one because it's one person, but obviously once you get into the main part of the plaza, you're looking at, 40 or 50 different businesses that you're trying to allocate the funds backwards towards. We could, obviously, by the Municipal Act, they do just become municipal funds. We could just allocate them to some of our capital works that we have planned at the plaza. And I threw a last option in there that we sort of got out of it, which was just trying to make sure that whatever we did was beneficial to the entire community. Obviously, for those who don't know, there is a large cement pad for future installations at the Morrisburg Roundabout. It was originally designed with a little bit more pizzazz, I'll say, in the center, but when that came in over budget, it was something that we cut back. The benefit to that is we could take these funds and through the SD&G cost sharing policy, we'd actually double the funds. So we'd almost end up with, $78,000 in change to try and do something that, not only would benefit the businesses, but also, we talked about the economic development, like things that people see whenever they come to this town, be the showcase right there. So outside of that, open to any ideas that council might have, or just looking for some direction on how we're looking to allocate those funds going forward.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the report. I guess I'll just start. Originally, when I was looking at this, I was thinking that we could possibly allocate this towards the improvement cost of the plaza itself, but when these funds were collected, they were collected for a purpose, right? They were collected for beautification, flowers, signage, all of the good stuff that attracts to our people to our plazas. So, in thinking about this further, I don't think there's a bad option here. I think the money would go to serve something that's positive, but I'm more of, I think I'd like to see the results. And if it just goes to a capital, to me, I think it just goes to the bottom line, and you don't see a specific project that the funds have been allocated to. I'm not convinced that it going to the roundabout should be part of that equation either, because to me, again, that's a broader benefit to the community, not just a benefit for the plaza itself. I personally would like to see it go to a specific project within the plaza, whether it's, we take a leap and upgrade the clock tower and get it, up to snuff, and whether we got to add a little bit of funds to it or not, I don't know. We'd have to take a look at that. But I always like the tower itself. I think that's kind of a focal point, curb appeal, or we put it towards maybe the overall sign. and create more advertisement on the pylon sign that's there. So my personal preference I think I'd like to see it towards specific projects for the mall, for the beautification for the mall. But I'm open to hearing suggestions as well. Councillor Ward?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So I just want to clarify something. So the BIA is not just businesses in the plaza, right? It wasn't just?
So through the Deputy Mayor, the catchment area for the BIA previously was on Ottawa Street to all the way over to the East End Promenade, except for the residential behind the East End Promenade. So the East End Promenade and the main plaza would be the catchment area that paid their levy in.
And the north end of, like the north side of County Road too.
So through you, Deputy Mayor, I believe we had members of the BIA from the north side, but they weren't paying into the levy. They were just members of the
Okay.
BIA.
I just wanted to clarify that because I
Yeah,
didn't want to take money from someone on the north side and put it into the plaza. So I would agree then with the Deputy Mayor's approach. I think it should go towards something at the plaza. I don't think it's worth giving them money back if we're just gonna ask for that money next year anyways. So, like you said, let it fall to the bottom line. If there's some sort of beautification project you want to bring back to council as part of the budget, like, or something that needs to be done immediately, emergency repair, then maybe we could consider that. But yeah, that was the only question.
Yeah, it's just regarding the pylon sign, is there businesses in the East End Promenade who advertise on the pylon side going into the mall? I can't remember.
Google mapping it.
Yeah.
Based off my very intense research I have just done, I'm going to say no.
No.
Oh, correction, Casada is on there.
Okay. So what I was getting at was was the pylon sign part of it was proposed to be part of, like a new sign was proposed to be part of the Morrisburg Plaza revitalization or I suppose we haven't completely figured that out yet, but the most sensible thing would be to just earmark all that money towards that sign. Because
Yeah.
I'm assuming that would be a good chunk of it right there.
Yeah, I don't know if CAO Bendahan has his report there handy or Director Jansen. Was the pylon sign when we were talking about cost recovery? Did we have the pylon sign in for the cost recovery, or was that still going to be? I think what it was going to be on an advertisement basis, right?
Yeah,
It's
it
going to
would
be
be
on an
moved,
advertisement basis. But I mean, we could still do that. It's just maybe. I don't know if that money could be allocated for a bigger sign, a better sign, or we're okay with that sign. I don't know, but that's a great question.
To your point, it could go towards a new sign, and then from the time the new sign is installed, then it's a rental basis after that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. No, I'm comfortable with that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Like I say, I always like the clock tower, but again, I recognize that the clock tower is located in the heart of the mall and doesn't take into account the East End.
Yeah.
And I do think if the East End has contributed, we should account for that as well. So something like, or again, I mean, you could do a combination of a couple things. You could get the pylon sign upgraded. You could maybe offer beautifications, like I say, flower planters throughout the entire, just to set it up. If that is maybe a preference, I think we can come up, or David, we can come up with a project that could suit the entire mall. But I think the flavor of what we're saying is, let's put it back into improvements to the mall.
Yep.
Hmm?
Yep.
So nod, yeah, we're good. Okay, excellent.
Okay, last item, notice of motion. Riverside Snowmobile Club, Councillor Vino.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, I'll be brief here. some of you may or may not know, but I wear another hat as the president of our local Riverside Snowmobile Club, and so I get the privilege to speak to this at the table myself. Basically, as a snowmobile club, we're a member of the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs, and we represent about 350 permit buyers here. And we operate and maintain was 164 kilometers of trail from Johnstown to Cornwall and up through Finch. Unfortunately, this year it was mandated that we had to close about 20% of our network due to lack of funding. And so we went from 164 kilometers to roughly 34. With that, just locally here, as it pertains to South Dundas, we did unfortunately have to cut all of our ties to Iroquois. So Iroquois now is cut off from, we used to have 2 trails going in and out of there, but we have none anymore. So all of the businesses and riders in Iroquois now don't have a good way to get to our network. They would have to road run north of the 401 and pick up one of our trails up closer to Brinston. So basically, as a district, we're part of District 1 here of OFSC. And then as an OFSC group, what we're trying to do is garner some support to get some letters onto the tables of some ministers to understand why the MTO, which is essentially the money collector for our permits, denied our 7% increase, the requested increase this year, which is about $15 on the permit. And they denied it last year as well, an increase that we requested, and we don't quite know why. And so we're trying to figure this out and trying to be able to get the permit price up to where it needs to be able to sustain our trails. So this is first step in that is our local municipalities, and we're hoping that we can move these up the chain and get it in front of the ministers' faces. South Dundas is, just a small part of this. Iroquois being cut off, we also lost our connection to Cornwall. So our Riverside's connection to Cornwall used to come in at Power Dam Road, and Seaway used to have a trail, Seaway Valley, which is our neighboring club to the east, used to have a trail that came down into the 138. So you had 2 access points to Cornwall. They had to close theirs, we had to close ours. So now Cornwall also has 0 connection to the snowmobile club, or to the snowmobile network. So economic impacts there. Snowmobiling in Ontario represents anywhere from $3 to $6 billion a year. And as we face, economic turmoil between, north and south of the border and everything, and we try to, domesticate and support our own economies here, we can't understand why, we would just want to throw away that tourism industry. So, or hinder it. So anyways, just looking for support from this council to pass this motion and move it on up the chain, and hopefully we can get some answers.
So let me get this right. Yeah, snowmobilers pay a trail fee, and that trail fee money comes back to the individual clubs to maintain the trails.
Essentially.
And the snowmobilers want to pay more for the trail fee so that they can have their trails. And the federation agrees.
Yes.
And the MTO says no.
Correct.
This is the strangest thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah. And so that's essentially what this letter is looking to figure out why. So.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. And I talked to Councillor Vino a little bit before the meeting, and just trying to understand it. And Councillor, as you kind of explain this a little bit more, I'm a snowmobiler. So would I like to save $15? Sure. But, it's not only the 351 permit buyers, and I was focused on that number, and I was kind of, well, 350 people, like what the heck? But it's more than that. It's bigger than that, right? It's huge. I mean, there's more than 350 snowmobilers that come through South Dundas on a daily basis when the snow is there and the trails are there. Now, maybe some of us a little slower. It takes us a little longer, and you passed me 3 times as we're going. But yeah, no, I'm just don't understand it either, to be honest with you. And I was thinking, do we because your snowmobile club fundraise and get that extra money, but why? I mean, your volunteers are already doing a level of service, and I quote, volunteers are doing a level of service, and now, to raise more money, it's even more. To me, this is totally silly, to be honest with you. It's totally silly. I don't get it. I'll tell you who you need to be on, you need to reach out, but it is the premier of New Brunswick, okay? He's a snowmobiler, and I'm serious. And he actually rallies, and they pay for snowmobile trails. You know that, because he was on one of, well, maybe you weren't there in New Brunswick trip. He was there a week before us. Anyways, I'm rambling on. It's the bottom of the third. I don't know, but Councillor Vino, I support you on this motion 100%.
So you're the snowmobiler, so I'll let you read the resolution. So I think that, and I'll just preface where he starts. So resolution, it's only 2 pages, just about our support getting information from the MTO. Councilor Vino did talk to me a week or two ago, so I did talk to a couple of mayors in SDNG, and we're like, let's bring this forward and let's do a delegation to the MTO, and like if they're not going to answer, for Roma in January, if we don't get an answer, let's do a delegation and hey, give us an answer, give us the reasons why we can't. So anyways, here's your resolution, and we'll get the ball started.
Okay, whereas the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs manages and maintains a vital network of snowmobile trails that connect communities across Ontario, the Riverside Snowmobile Club represents 24 members, 351 permit buyers, and managed approximately 164 kilometers of OFSC trails in the 2024-5 season, reduced to 134 kilometers this season due to lack of funding. The Ministry of Transportation of Ontario has denied a modest 7% increase, equal to $14.98, for the Ontario Snowmobile Trail Permit for the 2026 season, despite full support from OFSC member clubs at their 2025 annual general meeting. This decision follows a similar refusal by the MTO to approve the OFSC Board of Governors' recommended increase for the 2025 season. The MTO's decision undermines the OFSC's ability to sustainably operate and maintain the trail network, threatens the economic health of many Ontario communities that rely on winter tourism, and may force clubs to reduce services, delay grooming, or close more trails. According to the 2023 Economic Impact of Snowmobile Trails in Ontario report, OFSC trails contribute to an estimated $3 to $6 billion, depending on the weather, annually in Ontario's economy, support over 9,300 full-time equivalent jobs, and generate approximately $538 million in tax revenues across all levels of government, including $40.98 million in municipal taxes. Insufficient funding places an unfair and unsustainable burden on thousands of dedicated volunteers who contribute additional time, free volunteer labor, personal equipment, and personal funds to maintain trails, risking volunteer burnout and declining engagement. The loss of trail connections isolates communities from economic benefits and forces riders to trespass on private lands. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the municipality of South Dundas supports the concerns raised by the Riverside Snowmobile Club and the broader OFSC membership regarding the MTO's denial of the proposed 7% Ontario Snowmobile Trail Permit fee increase for the 2026 season. 2, the municipality of South Dundas urges the Ministry of Transportation of Ontario to reconsider and reverse its decision to deny the permit fee increase, recognizing the critical importance of adequate funding for the maintaining safe, accessible snowmobile trails. 3, the municipality of South Dundas requests that the MTO provide a written explanation for the rationale behind the denial of this permit fee increase. 4, the municipality of South Dundas recognizes the significant economic contribution of snowmobile tourism to local communities and the provincial economy, and supports measures to ensure the long-term sustainability of Ontario's snowmobile trail network. 5, the municipality of South Dundas acknowledges the invaluable contribution of volunteers who maintain snowmobile trails and supports ensuring they have adequate resources to continue their essential work. And 6, a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Honourable Pradmeet Singh Sarkira, Ministry of Transportation, MPP Nolan Quinn of the SDG counties, Honourable Stan Cho, the Honourable Victor Fideli, the Honourable Neil Lumsden, and the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs. Riverside Snowmobile Club and all municipalities within the SDG counties.
Thank you, Councillor Vino. Excellent work. You have a mover for that resolution, Deputy Mayor St. Pierre, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Excellent. We'll continue the good fight here on this information to figure this out, because it baffles me. Okay, I have a resolution, bylaw 2025, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, ratify matters dealt with the resolution, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. And motion to call the adjourn of the chair at 8:17 p.m. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Just before we sign off from South Dundas tonight, I just wanted to thank everybody that participated in the emergency management task team with Enbridge last week. We had a great practice session, including the deputy mayor. He signed off. He's a qualified expert in emergency management. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I do want to thank everybody that participated in the business and volunteer gala last Friday night that we hosted in South Dundas. Tia Orende coordinated it all, but certainly the committee members that were there, everybody that participated, and congratulations to all the winners. At the warden banquet the following night, we attended, the warden Lang actually had mentioned about in his travels this summer being in South Dundas for a few events, Tubi's all about the river, Applefest, and how he talked to a lot of volunteers, and he said they were just the same people that they had in South Glengarry, just different names that cared about their community, and he was really impressed of the volunteers that he met in South Dundas over the summer. So I wanted to carry that over, that good recognition for that. For sure. I do want to note, lately, as the fall season has been approaching, many volunteers out on Highway number 2 cleaning up their Adopta highway. So our Lavino and the Lions Club, both east and west, they've been out cleaning up the side of the road. So thank you for that. Thank you for that for sure. Thank you to all the volunteers and businesses in South Dundas. And as I wrap up tonight, before our next meeting, we'll have a Remembrance Day. So Remembrance Day services on Sunday, November the 9th in Iroquois, 2 p.m. And then on Remembrance Day, November 11th, the Battlefield Chrysler Park at 8:30, and then Remembrance Day in Morrisburg in Matilda Hall at 11 a.m. as we remember all the fallen soldiers and all of those that have served for us and will serve us in the future. So we'll just end it at that and say goodnight from South Dundas.